Good morning, second Sunday of Advent, and we read the Gospel of Luke. In the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar, when Pontius Pilate was governor of Judea, Herod Tetrarch of Galilee, his brother Philip Tetrarch of Iturea and Trachonitis, and Lysanias Tetrarch of Abilene, during the high priesthood of Annas and Caiaphas, the word of God came to John, son of Zechariah, in the wilderness. He went into all the country around the Jordan, preaching a baptism of repentance for the forgiveness of sins, as it is written in the book of the words of Isaiah the prophet, a voice of one calling in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord, make straight paths for him. Every valley shall be filled in, every mountain and hill made low. The crooked roads shall become straight, the rough ways smooth, and all people will see God's salvation. Tiberius, successor to Caesar Augustus, was the second Roman emperor, ruling from the year 14 after Christ until his death in the year 37 after Christ. In his youth, he was one of Rome's greatest generals. Yet, he came to be remembered later as a dark, reclusive, and gloomy ruler who never really wanted to be an emperor. Pliny the Elder called him Tristissimus Hominum, the saddest of men. Tiberius was a very powerful man, but at the same time full of fear due to the endless suspicions that many Romans wanted him dead. In fact, to protect himself from his eventual murderers, he settled on the island of Capri near Naples, building a palace for that purpose, which he called Villa Jovis. From that palace, he governed the Roman Empire for the last 10 years of his life, from the 27th to the 37th, and from there he ordered the execution of his political rivals. One morning, while Tiberius was strolling peacefully in his gardens in Capri, 4,000 kilometers away, a man dressed in camel skins shouted in the desert of Judea, "Prepare the way of the Lord." In the 15th year of the reign of the Emperor Tiberius. These precise temporal coordinates tell us that Christianity is not a religion created by human imagination, based on timeless myths that all begin with the words "once upon a time." Christianity isn't an invention of man, but the irruption of God. It's a reality. In the midst of chronological time, which is always the same, day after day, month after month, year after year, God bursts in. In the regular development of Chronos, the Kairos, the moment of grace, appears. What seemed to be a normal day, like any other, is suddenly transformed by something that fills that former monotony with a whole new meaning. We can go through this Advent like the monotonous happening of the Chronos. The days pass, the weeks go by, December is over, and we start a new year. Or we can live Advent attentive to the Kairos, to what happens that fills our lives with new meaning. This was the first idea. Christianity is not an invented mythology. It's the concrete historical eruption of Kairos in the monotony of Chronos. A second idea. Advent is a period of waiting. But what does it mean to wait? There are two conceptions when it comes to understanding the encounter with God. One of them, partly formed by the traditional mysticism of the 16th century with Saint Teresa of Avila and Saint John of the Cross, comes to imagine the spiritual life as a climb. Spiritual life would consist in, through our technique and effort, reaching God, climbing towards Him, reaching God and achieving that mystical union that our heart longs for. In this view, we must not wait, we must act and take the lead. To understand the spiritual life in this way makes some sense, but is harmful because it doesn't correspond to what God has revealed to us. To conceive the spiritual life like this makes us imagine God as a being who is affectively distant from us, who is standing at the top of the mountain waiting for us to make all the effort to reach him. The other conception, more in line with biblical revelation, is that of waiting. Waiting is not a conquest, but neither is to remain passive. It implies and demands a preparation so that this waiting may be true. But why should we prepare ourselves? Because the one who is coming, God, is eager to come and stay with us. It's like the central fresco in the vault of the Sixtine Chapel in Rome, in the Vatican. We all have it in mind, the moment when the hand of God and the hand of Adam are about to meet. God is certainly the one who takes the leading role, who makes the longest journey, the greatest movement, who stretches his arm the most. But Adam also lifts his finger. His attitude is not completely passive. Although the action he performs is less than that of God, he also collaborates with his disposition. God has the initiative to come to visit us, to make himself known, so that we experience his love, but we must stretch out our arm. To prepare the way, as John the Baptist says today, means to stretch out our arm to facilitate this encounter. And how should we understand this? Make straight paths for him, which means lower down that which is sticking out and which should not be sticking out. For example, my pride, my vanity, my self-sufficiency. In other words, remove what I have too much of. Every valley shall be filled in. Raise what should be raised, a greater trust in God, a greater generosity, a more intense prayer, a charity towards others that goes beyond intentions and that dedicates time to the needs of others, to put in what I am lacking. The crooked roads shall become straight, to refocus my life on what it should be focused on, to aim it where I should aim it, and therefore to purify my intentions, to put aside quarrels, resentments, anger, or contempt. Correct what needs to be corrected. What is rough will be a smooth path. That could mean not to complicate my life with worries or things that, in reality, deep down, are not so important and make my walk through life rougher than it should be. Relativize what should be relativized. So Advent is the active waiting to receive God who breaks into our chronos. And God bless you.